Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the latest episode of Dare to Degree. Well, Dare to Disagree, as we normally call
Dare to degree.
it. Get an education, folks. Dare to Disagree, where all these folks that are so wise in the ways of the world make a point to let you fuckers know what's up. I will be your traveling host today, Jonathan Esther.
And this is Alone in the Dark, not on a cell phone.
Well,
He messed up the order. It's Calhoun.
Oh, we're gonna have to restart this show. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a good.
Okay, they got the point. They got the point. But anyway, welcome to the latest episode of Dead, folks. Now, we've been missing for 2 weeks because various people had various things to do. Wow, okay. Alone in the Dark had no shots there, but I was expecting that.
I was thinking, I couldn't think of anything. Go ahead.
I figured you were going to drop something evil, but whatever. Anyway, we are coming back after a 2 week hiatus. Apologies for that. But we got plenty of time to thoroughly enjoy the marination of that Donald Sterling situation. So we're just going to go ahead and knock that right out the park because
Me too.
we don't
Almost
want
died.
Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and throw this in order. Alone in the Dark, we're making a point that tennis. Hold on. By the way, you're going to have to mute yourself there if you're going to do that.
Let me help him out with that little guy.
Alright,
That little guy. Hey, that little guy. Now he's talking to us.
It's ready to talk.
He got it up like a motherfucker.
But I was saying, Alone in the Dark was making a point that in Tennessee, as it turns out, a lot of white folks feel like this poor old white man is oppressed in some way. Why don't you go ahead and throw that our way?
Okay, so I was trying to track it down before I sprung it, but I've been reading it all day, so I'll jump right from the top. Stop, right from the fucking top. So first off, with everybody around here, the defenders of Donald Sterling, which is easily 75 to 80% of the population, okay, is saying number one, and this is the most common argument is, what happened to freedom of speech?
There it is. There it is.
Yep. Okay. What happened to freedom of speech? I've been hearing that shit non-stop, okay? And to answer you guys who out there who are thinking about that, fucking nothing. Never in the history of the world has freedom of speech blocked you from getting fired for some shit you said.
Right.
Never. If you don't believe me, go to your boss and call him an asshole and tell me if you don't get fired.
Say I want to thank you for that analogy because that was a beautiful. It settled a major thing we had at work about that because that came up and that got squashed super quick because of that analogy. Because I was just like, all right, if you guys want to use your freedom of speech, why don't you go over to the? Because we're all working and having the argument. I was like, why don't one of y'all who feels like he has all the freedom he can walk over to the bus and tell him to fuck himself, or even better. I'm going to tell you what I think about your mama right now, and you're not going to hit me because freedom of speech, right?
Exactly. Or how about you? Go to one of my female coworkers and tell her how beautiful her titty beat is looking today. Guess what? Freedom of speech ain't gonna save my ass, okay? Nor should it. It never has freedom of speech blocked a private company from firing you. And as any CEO knows, you can get fired as a CEO, which he was the owner, okay? As the freaking CEO or owner, just for making your company look bad, even if it's not your fucking fault. Like, you guys hear about that whole thing, I think it was with Target, where like they brought those little cars out and a bunch of people's information got stolen? That CEO probably didn't design that software. He probably doesn't even know how that shit works. But guess what? His ass had to resign because the company looked bad and he was the CEO. Guess what, man? You're fired. That's it. This shit wasn't even your fault. You didn't even do anything wrong, but something went wrong. Now we've got this great, now the company looks like shit. We got to show that we're doing something about it to not look like shit anymore. Your ass is fired. Get out of here. So, that whole freedom of speech thing is out the fucking window. Okay?
Right. Freedom of speech does not. freedom of speech does not exclude you from freedom of consequence.
Exactly. It means the government can't come down on your ass. Even though freedom of speech has never been 100% full. Like, you guys have heard the whole thing, you can't yell fire in a theater, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, there is still limitations to freedom of speech, even counting with the government. But the whole thing with freedom of speech was to defend you from the government, giving you consequences for what you say. The government was not involved in this at all. Obama came out and said something, but that's about the extent of his power. He's a citizen. He can come make a fucking comment on the situation, but he didn't get Donald Sterling fired, okay?
Right. Freedom of speech, bitches.
Exactly. Number 2, they're throwing a fit that it was a private conversation that was recorded, right, and given out. Yes, I could see the issue, but at least in this state, it's legal. Now, it's not in California, so yeah, somebody was breaking the law right there, which I don't know if they're ever going to come down on that girl for it. But it's legal as long as one person in the conversation knows they're being recorded, they can record it, okay? So, either way, even if that wasn't legal recording, illegal means that shit can't be used in a court case. He never went through a court case. The NBA doesn't have to.
What?
Go ahead.
Oh, I didn't mean to. They brought that up, and actually, as I said, like, I really enjoyed the coverage that ESPN did because they were really thorough on explaining the situation and explaining what was wrong with it. And one of the main things they brought up was this cannot be used in court because what she did is illegal. And they also made a very clear point that this chick is by no means a hero.
Hell no.
Nobody is thinking she did this out of the kindness of her heart for the race or whatever. By the way, she's denying that she's the one that leaked those tapes. She claimed someone else found them and leaked them.
Yeah, well, she has to for her
Clearly.
not end up in jail.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, but it's one of those things where, like, everybody knows they were suing her, and all of a sudden these tapes came out. That's not a
she
fun
benefited
coincidence.
the most off that situation. She was
Off that.
But here's the thing,
Exactly.
is she's telling everybody just to make it look worse, which, I mean, I'm sure she's accurate, that this guy has said this shit throughout the years. Which means that lady has been selling out her own race for some nice stuff for years. And it was only when it was more beneficial to her to sell him out than to freaking keep him did she turn around and actually do something.
Well, I think the only person who had, well, not the only person, there were tons of very positive reactions and a couple of negative ones. But the best reaction I heard by far was from, I want to say Olajuwon. Was it Olajuwon?
No, I think
Not Olajuwon. I don't know, one of the veteran backplayers. I'm sure somebody will remember.
was it Kareem?
Abdul-Jabbar, thank you. There you
Yeah,
go.
there we go.
I just thought tall. But Kareem Abdul-Jabbar made a fantastic point of coming out. He gave it about a couple of days for everybody to, get the drama juices flowing. But then he came out and made a very beautiful point, which was this guy should be vilified. Yes, this guy should be demonized, absolutely. But one, making this a sensational news story is horrible. And two, anybody that feels supreme because, or better because this has happened, should understand this had been happening for years. And this had been known for years. And people have said for years that this would go down. That if this was the thing, this girlfriend releasing this tape was what actually made us decide to take action, as opposed to the other times when players have sued him for that, or tenants that are of color have sued him for that, then we're horrible people for celebrating this moment.
Yeah, even Skip Bayless had to say something about it. Like, he was pissed off about the fact that dude had this illustrious long track record, court procedures and whatnot, and it's just coming up just because of this tape.
I told that to Alone in the Dark, or maybe Slow Chemical, I can't remember, but that first take was probably the most respect I've ever had for First Take. Because the way they handled the conversation of this problem was fantastic. Skip Bayless, that man, I gotta admit, man, watching him sit there, cool as a cucumber, but knowing that he had to pick his words super carefully.
Right.
was good because he's good. He's been doing it for a long time, and he knows he has close friends. But he knew he had to object, and you could tell he had objections. He skipped Bayless, and he always has to say the shit that makes everybody. He's like Chael Sonnen. He has to say everything that makes people mad, but that is factual. But he was brilliant in the way he approached like the counter argument to people immediately going after Donald Sterling. It was very well done. I had a lot of respect for the way he handled that.
You know, and I understand the point of that view, okay? My issue is a lot of these people are coming out like, hey, here you guys are thinking you're suddenly morally superior, but guess what? I'm morally superior to you because I know this is bullshit that's been happening. The issue with everything else that happened is there was no solid proof. Okay? Like, I can't remember the guy that sued him for racism and age discrimination and stuff like that. That guy did sue him for that, but number one, he dropped the charges of racism. He came back and said, you know what, I'm taking that off the table. He pulled that back. And, to top it off, he lost the fucking lawsuit. So do we really want the NBA to fire somebody for a loss? Somebody just accused them and they failed to prove their case? Should they have thrown him out for that? No. I mean, I could go sue freaking Dave right now for being an asshole, which I would probably succeed. I should pick something different. Hold on a second. Sue Dave for freaking whatever. I could go sue any of you for fucking anything, right? That doesn't mean shit unless I win my case.
Thanks for freaking walking out on me, homie.
I'm just saying, man. But I could sue.
One redeeming factor.
I could sue any of you for anything, right? But it doesn't mean shit unless I actually succeed. So, number one, with that guy pulling back the racism charge, that's the first thing. Okay, that guy's self-admitting, I don't have enough proof to fucking prove that. Number two, his entire case failed, which doesn't mean that it didn't happen, but he just didn't have enough proof to really push it. And, of course, you know, he's battling a billionaire's lawyers. But still, you can't that's like somebody being found not guilty for a crime, and then you don't hire him because, hey, dude, you were charged. You can't do that. It's illegal. And I would think it would be against the NBA's ethics to hold this against this guy just for defending himself on that, right? And that's the same thing with the other shit. That the settlement for the tenants and stuff like that. Yes, he was accused of racism. Yes, to me it sounds like it was likely, but it was settled out of court, so you can't hold that against him anymore.
Well, like Scott Bayless said, once you settle out of court, that's pretty much kind of like a admittance of guilt.
Yeah, it is, but if they accepted that instead of really carrying through with the charge, then they can't talk about it anymore. That's them just saying, okay, I'm appeased now. So
it's kind of like.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry, finish.
Like if I sue, or if, let's say I sue Verizon for freaking fucking me over my phone bill, right? What Verizon could do is come back and say, okay, man, either we could go through this 2-year-long process of lawsuit, or I'll just give you $1,000. But once I give you this $1,000, you can't talk shit about me anymore. You can't say that I'm not admitting guilt. Nothing. Okay, you just take this $1,000 and walk away. That actually happened to my mom not too long ago. There's some road damage out here, and it tore up her tires. So she went to the city for not taking care of the road and said, you got to pay for my tires, which they paid for them. But then they said, hey, you can't. We're not admitting guilt. We're just paying for them, but this is it. You can't come after us anymore, nothing like that.
I got a perfect example. So recently, they kind of took stock of how many bankers went to jail for the whole economic bubble situation, and only one banker actually ended up going to jail. Only one. And he was the only one who admitted guilt. Every other company, Lehman Brothers, AIG, all the other ones, they all paid the government anywhere between $50 to a couple of $100 million. But when they paid them, they made sure not to admit guilt. And coincidentally, none of them went to jail. The only one who went to jail, the one guy who didn't settle out of court and had to admit guilt at the end of it.
That's fair. But that's kind of the issue, is you can't, because they never proved that he was a racist in that. They never proved that he was discriminating. because they settled. So it's still no proof. So now you guys we're asking the NBA, hey, look at it. This guy had all these accusations. You should have fired him. You can't fire somebody for just an accusation. That's taking it pretty far.
Hold on. All right, co-conscious, do you have any input here?
Fuck down, Sterling.
Wow, that was pretty much what I expected. I'm going to assume I'm going to get a little more of this, but let's try it anyway. Slow chemical?
I didn't say.
No, well, nothing? All right.
I think co-conscious pretty much summed it up.
Yeah. It's slow chemical. As I said, I had a kind of a text conversation with Slow Chemical, and he made it in language a little more colorful than this. He made it quite clear how he feels about Donald Sterling.
Now, I totally
It did make a good point, though, which was the same, what's his name? The basketball player. Sorry, you just told me his name.
Kareem.
Yeah, he made the same Kareem point, which was, and if I'm talking out of turn for you there, Slow Chemical, stop me, which was basically, first off, why the fuck are people shocked? It's not like this is a surprise. There are tons of white people out there like this. And second off, I mean, they should get no pity, no mercy, no defense. That thought process should be eradicated. As long as there's one person thinking that out there, there's a chance for it to happen. It's like what was the analogy? I had a pedophilia analogy I was using where I was like, I told one of my course, I was like, because he brought up the freedom of speech thing, and this was before I got your analogy. I told him, imagine that you have a school, a kindergarten, where there's a teacher teaching who is suspected to be a pedophile. There's no proof. And then some girl who tries to sleep with him realizes, like, he turns her down because she's not young enough, and she publicizes their entire conversation. Now, do you defend that pedophile's right to free speech? Which the guy was like, no, I can't. I was like, that's exactly the same point. You only feel that way because, hey, what's your skin color?
You're white, so this shit has nothing to do at all.
It doesn't affect you as much. I would say, if you were white and a black guy accused racism, you should probably just let that go. Let them settle that in a court or something. You should not immediately defend the white guy. That's a dangerous stance to take because you could be very wrong down the line.
Exactly. And it happens a lot. Because I think what people have a problem with around here is, which, I mean, there's so, like the South, it's kind of a weird thing. In a lot of portions of it, there'll be pretty much a regular freaking dispersion, well, of white and black people, okay? 70% white people, 30% black people, which is about the average for the U.S. You know, I think the population of the U.S. is about 36 or 38% black, so that's about right. But it is built into fucking groups like I've never seen before. You know what I mean? Like, you'll go into one area and there's nothing but black people as far as eyes can see, and you'll drive 5 miles away and it's just completely white. You know what I mean? It's just they're just so separated that those people can be almost oblivious to not realize that there is racism left. You know? Like, when I joined the Marine Corps, I remember one time at the very beginning, I noticed that a lot of the drill instructors had severe underbites. I think that's what it is, when the jaw sticks out more than the top jaw, right? And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with these guys?
California, so.
It turns out that these guys were all using dip, which I had never seen before in my life. I seriously thought that shit had happened in the 50s and it never happened again. I had never seen anybody dip in California. Dave, other than freaking Marines, how many people do you see dipping?
Only one other person, and it's that gay Republican in my class.
Oh, that's pretty funny. But
no, it's the whole story behind that. I'll get to that later.
But that shit just seems I thought it was gone. Like, we had to hold a class one time in high school, and they showed us a class about this is why you shouldn't dip, and they show you with those guys that have half their jaw cut off. I'm like, why are they even wasting the time on this shit? Nobody dips anymore. Little on do I know, now that I'm out in Tennessee, I see people dipping all the time.
What is it?
So I think some people out here who aren't around black people at all, or they just see them, or something like, they never really talk to them, they never really go around to see what's going on in their day-to-day life, they don't understand that it still exists. They seriously think it was something that happened back in the day, and those people they see on TV are just whining, trying to get a freaking free buck off stuff that doesn't happen anymore. Oh, that happened to your grandparents, man. It's not happening to you. So,
what the hell is Dem?
Chewing tobacco.
Damn, thank you.
oh, my bad, man. I can't hear over myself. I talk loud as fuck.
I want to piggyback before we get off this topic. I do want Jay to make a comment on it before we go, because I know he had an opinion he was trying to get out. But before I get off this topic about your cousin thing, there's a podcast that's kind of an amazing podcast. In the dark. It's called This American Life, and it's every week these guys just basically tell stories all around America. Fantastic right now. One of the stories they had was of this guy, and I think
You're breaking up a bit, man. You're breaking up a bit.
my bad. This guy was from New Jersey or some shit who got his degree, worked for about 2 years and got fired. So he managed to walk across America.
What's he saying?
Yeah, I can't understand a fucking thing you're saying, man. You're gonna have to get somewhere better signal to try this again. Or maybe turn off your video. Maybe you get better audio if your video's off.
Or maybe you should get a new phone, all in general.
Some shit. That Windows phone, man. He thought that shit was gonna be the best thing in the world, and it's just doing nothing but fucking up for him.
I mean, he's from Africa. That's not really saying a lot.
Like Windows operating system isn't garbage.
It's funny you say that because I'm currently on a Galaxy S4, but whatever.
Yeah.
Ooh, excuse us.
Oh shit! Look at him getting all classy now.
Look at that. I'm pretty sure it's not your phone, though.
This is the wife's joint, yeah. But you guys are bitching about the service. I'm on a completely different phone.
Yeah. I've heard about, people talk about those Galaxy S4s. I don't even think I've fucking seen one besides on TV.
Yeah, how about you upgrade, you effing faggy?
Anyway, while you're swinging, what's your final take on this, Jay? I know you had something to say.
Not really. I don't have much to say. I do have one, maybe a few things to say. For one, I hate it when people say, why are we so confused? Why are we so surprised? I mean, I, for one, don't watch basketball like that. I, for one, don't know Donald Sterling personally. I, for one, didn't even know Donald Sterling existed.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
Well, you know now.
Yeah, I know now. I mean, and I, for one, didn't know about Donald Sterling's back history. I mean, I know there's still racism out here. I know there's still racist people. But when you put racism on a display like this, when someone gets audio tape of someone allegedly being racist, I mean, what else? What else can you do but just take it in? I wasn't really surprised. I was just like, okay, nigga racist. So what is the NBA going to do about it?
I will say, I was a little surprised that of all fucking people, an owner of an NBA team would come out with some shit like that. You know what I mean? Of all fucking people you think would have a little bit more sense, suddenly it's the guy who's got less than fucking everybody I've ever met, almost.
One of the most beautiful parts of that whole freaking call was him telling her not to bring black people to his games, which I was like, the fuck? Dude, do you know what your game is?
Look, here's the thing, man. That's not that. If that's your favorite, that's fine. But my favorite one was, don't I give them clothes on their back? Don't I give them cars? Like these guys didn't do shit for it. Like this dude's just handed that shit out to him. You know? Are you kidding me? You would have got some of the best athletes in the world, and here you are acting like you're giving them fucking handouts.
Right. I mean, that's the one thing that I will find surprising is that, like, the NBA is comprised of, like, black people on top of black people on top of black people. I mean, you have a sprinkle of white people here and there, but most of the NBA is just comprised of black people, black players, and so on and so forth. So it's just like to have this guy who is the owner of a franchise that's comprised mostly of black players it is kind of surprising, and that you'll have sort of this imagery that is just like they're laboring for me. You see what I'm saying? It's kind of like just
Exactly.
what Stephen A. said. It's like the NBA has to do something in regards of removing this man from being the owner of this franchise, because you can't have this dude who has these type of thoughts in control of a whole populace of people that
Or that thing, yeah.
that was just revealed that he detests. But another thing I have to say is that V. Stiviano, everybody thinks that she did this just to get her spotlight, just to get her 15 seconds. I personally think this is just a start for her.
Yeah,
Just a what?
yeah.
Just a start.
Just a start, yeah. I would agree.
But
Yeah.
that's
A lot of people are taking the Kim Kardashian playbook and rewriting it in their own way. But I
we
figured
don't
that.
want to.
Anyway.
We don't want to see the sex tape though.
Oh yeah. I'm about to say something that I haven't said out. Well, actually, I said it to one other person. But is it just me, or when you heard the tape and she said I'm half black and half Mexican, then you saw her, you were like, "Bitch, you look Asian."
The Filipino.
Yeah.
But that wasn't good. Because I was like, man, I don't want to be the racist after Donald Sterling against Asians. Just class it down a bit.
You know
But I was
what?
like,
What
gotta
really
see that.
threw me off with her though is here she is, a billionaire's freaking just toy girl, right? I do not think if I was a billionaire, that's what I would have to stoop to for this bitch. Having to buy her bed. That bitch was I'd give her like a 6.5, maybe a 7. Okay,
dude, I wouldn't give her more than a 4.
a 4. Well, I think you get
No
a
offense.
me, man.
Just
Well, yeah,
no,
but
that face, it didn't do it for me, man.
well, for you though, everybody above an 8 is a guy, so that's totally different.
Come on, man. That was only one time. That was my first. I'm getting used to
Anyone
that
that breathes. Anyone that breathes.
But that's funny. I feel like if I was, even if I wasn't even a millionaire, give me like $75,000 in the bank, and I'll have a better looking woman than that as my side bitch. That's what I'm saying.
Spend all the money necessary for Hayden Panettiere.
Maybe she fucks like a goddamn wildcat. That's what's going on.
Man.
I don't think that old man would have survived if she does though.
Yeah, she must do all the work. She must does all the work in bed, because I mean, like that's the only way I can see justification for giving her everything that she had.
Yeah, who knows what the fuck's going on, man? That dude, that old racist, probably had her like with whips and shit.
I definitely said she could fuck black people and then come back. Just go back into the game. So I think whips were an option a long time ago. But, I figured we were going to hit on this topic, so I was like, all right, I'm going to switch it up real hard on this one. And this is just because I had a fun conversation with someone recently that completely caught me off guard. We were in a room full of folks, and I just brought up, like, someone just asked, who's your favorite artist right now and why? And people just started bringing up amazing artists that I had never heard of, and it completely threw me off. So I wanted to ask each of you guys individually, and I'm going to go in a different order today. I'm going to start with Jay. Do you think is the most underrated artist right now, and why? In your mind, and then we'll walk our way down.
Underrated?
Yeah, like your favorite artist right now that is not popular, that you don't.
MC or rock band? Like, can it be an MC or is it a rock band? What?
Anything, any artist, period.
Action Bronson.
Really?
Yeah.
How the hell do you get off a topic like Donald Sterling that you say Action Bronson is your favorite? You know.
you got no segues, motherfucker. You just.
Anyway, why? Like, start by explaining who Action Bronson is, and go from there.
Action Bronson, he is this indie rapper. He's a dude from Queens, New York. He's this fat, overweight dude, this big ass, like, blondish type beard, dark blondish type beard or whatever. But the dude is like, he is what you would call dope. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's not no Chief Keef. There is no Waka
I
Flocka.
mean,
There is no
I
Trinidad
mean,
James in this
I
guy.
mean, that's not really saying a lot, though.
What you mean?
I mean, Chief Keef, come on.
He's saying your little sister could probably rap better than Chief Keef on a cold day.
Yeah, but see,
Yeah,
I'm getting to this. I'm saying there is no ignorance in this motherfucker. You see what I'm saying? Like, he actually has lyrical content.
I mean, he's white. He has to.
Nah, if you want to talk about somebody who doesn't have lyrical content and he's white, we could talk about this dude named Riff Raff.
Okay, so you lost me with that one.
Yeah, see, exactly.
Explain.
Once you get off this podcast, look up this dude. He was probably in, I think he was in Spring Breakers. He pretty much, if you saw Spring Breakers, he is the real life version of James Franco's character.
Goddamn that.
Yeah, so Riff Raff is this white dude. He has cornrows. He has like this funkadelic type shit going on with his facial hair and whatnot. But he's like,
I'm trying to get the funkadelic facial hair.
I can't explain no more. Riff Raff, but back to what I was talking about. Yeah, back to what I was talking about. Action Bronson. But Action Bronson, I say is like the most underrated artist there is out there right now.
All right. What about you there, Alone in the Dark?
You know, I had it. Hold on a second. I think the most underrated artist out right now is that poor. You guys might not heard of him. His name's Drake. he's really. I mean, he's coming up. He's coming up from the hard streets of Toronto, but man, I think he's gonna make it big one of these days. You know what I mean? And he'll be just fine. Keep an eye out for him. You know, maybe send him a little money here and there, buy his albums, because he's gonna make something of himself, guys.
You know, it's a funny thing they say about Drake. They say Toronto's mayor got more street cred than yo.
Yep.
Actually, 100% true. 100%.
To be fair though, that dude's pretty fucking hardcore, man.
Hell yeah, he is. Shit.
I wouldn't fuck with it.
Was that the guy smoking crack? I don't remember. Hold on. I'll find that
What about you, Cole Conscious?
Well, you know, Chief Keef, of course. I mean, his lyrics are so hot. You gotta listen to him. Once you listen to him, it's just like, man, blows your fucking mind away.
Oh, come on.
Okay. To be honest, I have so many artists who are underrated, but I had to come back to me.
Fair enough, we can do that. Slow Chemical is there. I know you have like a host of indie artists you like. Who's the girl? There's a girl that you introduced me to. That's awesome.
Hold on, I got one. Slow Chemical is underrated artist. There you go.
Wait, who's the girl? You know who she is, Cole Conscience? Because I don't think I can hear Slow Chemical.
Ava.
Yeah, Ava Ovenka. He turned me on to her. Am I saying it right? Ava Ovenka?
Ava Ovenka, yeah, he's saying it right.
Yeah. He turned me on to Ava, and she got a track, she got a page, she got a whole team behind her. Fantastic artist. Very good stuff. I heard her for the first time. They have a different podcast they do. What's the name of the podcast you guys do?
It's
Black People.
Damn,
That's what it's called.
Jeez. All right, we'll come back. We'll figure it out. Look, one of you guys look it up. He's got a YouTube channel and all that. But, he introduced me to Ava Venka, and I listened to some of her stuff, and that just caught me off guard because that's one of those things where like just kind of a brand new local artist I had never heard, kind of that like soulful, slow kind of dark R&B is what I'm starting to call it. It's just one of that like really. It's not a happy mood, but it's just got a lot of soul behind it and a lot of darkness behind it. It was a lot of fun. But anyone you want to bring up aside from her, Slow Chemical?
No.
Okay.
Why are you guys surprised? Why are you guys surprised?
Yeah, I'm not surprised. It just gets me every fucking time, man. Dave has such a workup. Such a work. Hey, man, hey, so, yeah, you know, I know you're talking about this guy, and I know, you know, you had really like that. So what do you think about this? Man, fuck
I don't
that.
think a damn thing.
It's like trying to feed an anorexic baby. You try to like make all the airplane sounds and the train sounds, and you get to it, and you just know that baby's gonna get that shit the fuck out of here. I don't care.
Get near my face, motherfucker. Oh,
I
my
feel
God.
like that.
This shit gets me every time, man.
Well, I was gonna bring up like the guy I recently started listening to. Aside from Ava and Co-Conscious also got me into a rock band called Alter Bridge, but there's a rapper called LP, like capital E small L hyphen P. And he's also a producer, but he's got just some of the most off the wall brainiac type hip hop I've ever heard, man. It was really fun to hear him because I haven't heard off the wall hip hop like that in a while. All the hip hop you hear these days tends to be kind of Drake-ish, or you know, they want to go the Kendrick Lamar route.
Or terrible.
Or what's that other guy that smokes weed all the time? He made a movie with Wiz Khalifa.
Yeah.
Exactly. It tends to be one of those three genres. It's either Drake kind of like R&B to women, like Big Sean takes the Drake route, or you get that Wiz Khalifa kind of whatever, or you get the Kendrick Lamar hardcore street rap. But it was just fun to hear some guy who just like rapping about riding a bicycle around the city. Just made it sound like the most gangster shit I'd ever heard. So it was fun. It was fun listening to good hip hop where nobody had to get shot, but nobody had a bitch that he was just fucking on the side. Just on some real shit. It was fun. LP. So, if you guys want to check him out, he's pretty dope. Anyway,
Probably not, but you know.
Yeah, I figured that. Anybody else had any topic you wanted to throw on the table before we shut this thing down?
No, not. I didn't really. I have a parting shot though, definitely, obviously.
Oh, wow. Well, let's go into the parting shots early because I don't think anybody else has anything. Does anyone?
Nope.
Yeah, I figured that. Except for that riff. You can take that riff-raff picture down, by the way. That's ridiculous.
Please. Please.
Would have made my eyes hurt.
I saw the music video with that guy. I didn't realize that's what he was talking about. Does he have a video where he's like a caveman and there are cave women all around him and he's just fucking throwing bones around?
I don't know about that one, but
Yeah.
nah.
I was in a club and they had one of those video DJs, which by the way is like the most awesome shit to watch. It's just like scratching videos in and out. So they did like a. Does anybody remember 3 6 Mafia smoking on the dro?
Oh god.
Oh yeah, he did 3 6 Mafia smoking on the dro. And he
Why?
mixed it in such a way Alice in Wonderland and the smoking caterpillar from the Alice in Wonderland cartoon were rapping the lyrics.
Okay.
It was cool shit to watch while getting drunk. It was fun. But anyway, yeah, that came on and that guy was on the video like in caveman clothes just saying ridiculousness. But go ahead, Co-Conscious. What was your parting shot?
Oh, okay, my bad. Hold on.
Hello, Co-Conscious. Yes.
I'm sorry. I got a text message that made me, you know. Anyway.
No.
Okay. Well, you know, usually I make a lot of jokes on the show and everything like that, but I'm going to take it a little seriously for right now. People might have not heard the story about the 8-year boy that defended his sister, his 16-year-old sister, from getting raped. 8-year-old boy and his 16-year-old older sister was walking home one day, and they was attacked. Well, she was attacked because the guy tried to rape her, and the 8-year-old boy defended this guy off. He was killed. The 8-year-old boy, the guy beat him to death. He was killed, and the sister got away. So I just wanted to throw that out there because it was a tremendous story for me. And it's honestly a sad story. First, heard that story, I kind of choked up a little bit.
Yeah, man. I don't know what kind of constitution takes an 8-year-old kid to sacrifice his life like that. You know what I mean? And they're talking about nationally recognizing that kid, which I fully support, which came up in one of the posts on the news channel here, and lo and behold, at least one of them spoke up. One Southerner fought out against it.
Of course, I know. As always.
What? Wait. Where are we that town he grew up in should be recognized. Why are we going to nationally recognize him through the whole country? He protected his sister. That's not a big deal. I will give him credit though, because he got fucking blasted by just about everybody else that came near that fucking thread. But another funny thing is somebody apparently was friends with him or somehow got onto his profile and was posting all kinds of other racist shit. The guy taking screenshots of his posts and fucking playing it everywhere. So I thought that was pretty funny. That guy was pretty pissed off.
Yeah, I mean, most of people down south, their sisters are like their lovers too. So
yeah, exactly.
We just talked about fucking hate, and now it's never mind.
That ain't hate. That's fact.
Stereotyping.
Yeah, I mean, hey, that's fair. Hey, you got two people who live down south on this fucking panel. Hey,
Exactly.
That's terrible. I mean, I don't know, man. It kind of wraps. I didn't want it to wrap back up, but it does kind of wrap back into this Donald Sterling thing. There's this massive gap in perception, not just between races, but between sexes, between sexual preferences, and I mean, it's easy. Like we were talking about the gun thing a little while ago, where I had to explain to a friend. Because, again, I'm in California, there are a lot of liberals. Not in Orange County, it's a little more conservative, but it's mainly a liberal state. And I can't even imagine why people want guns. And I had to explain to him, there are some places in this country where if you call the cops to come and help you out, it takes anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour for them to get to where you're at. For
and
people like that,
get there, they may not fucking help you out either.
Exactly. So I'm like, to people like that, it does matter that you have a little more ammunition in your thing. These are people that live in bear country and shit like that. Well, why don't they just move? Now, who's not being understanding? They've lived generations there, and you're just saying, well, they can just move. Why don't you just uproot your life and move? It's complicated. People have feelings tied into stuff. But it does amaze me when we get moments like the story about the 8-year-old boy or the Donald Sterling thing. As far as you would think we've come, you have these moments where you go, oh, holy shit, there's still people out there. That could be anybody saying hi to you that think that way. Like, I have to admit, I don't know if it was the same for you guys, but after the Donald Sterling case, when white folks would come to my store, if they even displayed one slight iota of something not feeling right, I had to fight from defaulting to probably just racist. It was very hard for me. Like, if I'm doing something, like if I come up like, hey, how you doing, miss? And she's having a bad day or whatever, it could be whatever. But if she doesn't immediately answer, it was very hard for me to fight the urge of going, yeah, probably just a racist bitch. I don't know. I just think it's a dangerous state of mind to be in, and but it's a necessary state of mind because, as I said, it's like you don't. They're still out there, and you don't know who they are because they're adept at pretending they're not racist. Like Donald Sterling, you would think the guy who owns a black team wouldn't say, "Don't bring black people to my games," That would be like the last thing I would expect a racist Donald Sterling to say. Because it makes no sense logically. He's a millionaire, and I'm just giving him the benefit of the doubt. He's got to be smart. He's a millionaire. But then you hear that shit and you go, he's got the internet, he's got information, he's got stuff. Or you have a guy who's about to rape a chick with an 8-year-old boy present. And you think to yourself, what kind of man wants to rape a chick with her brother present? I mean, how hard is pussy to get that you're going to go through children to get to their sisters?
Oh, that was another line out here, too, is a couple people on there coming out and saying, I bet you, because it was a 16-year-old kid that did all that shit, right? I bet you that kid was black. Which I don't know. They're not showing any pictures of him because he's a minor.
he's black.
You know? Is he?
Yeah.
Well, I'll say this: I can't really fault him. I'll be honest. When that DC sniper was going around, I lost a lot of money on black, white. As much as I would love to, that's fucked up. I've done that.
Yeah, I thought he was white too. He ain't not that much planning in going into black people.
That being said, if any white person wants to sit there and act like white people are better, there's a lot of blonde-haired, blue-eyed Haitians out there that were plantation slaves. So they don't exactly have the most perfect historic record to go about worrying about other races raping other people and feeling like we're superior.
Yeah, dude. It's a
Follow
nasty.
somebody?
Here's been my freaking stance on the whole time is it was something we talked about with police officers as well. If you give someone the ability to have power over somebody else, it's at least a high percentage that shit is gonna get nasty real quick. It's just how it happens, man. You watch any war, like I've been listening to a lot of the history shit from Dan Carlin, and every time the wars would be going nasty and some soldiers were in charge of it didn't matter who they were. They had POWs and shit was going bad. There was always human rights violations just coming with it. And the thing that worries me the most, okay, because you think about that, okay, that just happens during times of war, or that happens like those freaking Nigerian schoolgirls who all got kidnapped by that fucker right there, right? That does happen, but it's not all the time. But think about where it happens the most, and that's with kids, man. Some idiot, you could look at two people walking down the street, two fucking idiots. Imagine them having full control over your life. They decide when you eat. They decide what your education is. They decide freaking what clothes you're gonna have. They decide if you get to get beat. And those two just random motherfuckers are in charge of your life, and that happens to kids all the fucking time. Okay? All the fucking time. And you see the bad results of it, man. Constantly. Like, to me, and this is, if I was in control of the world, one of the first things I would change, okay? If I took over, okay, one of the first fucking things I would put all my resources into figuring out is how to sterilize men and women reversibly right at birth. Okay? And then after they're so old, okay, you're 25, you've got a good job, you could come and petition just like people who want to adopt a kid. Hey, I want to have kids now. Okay, you got to prove you got the money to do it. You got to prove you're not a fucking idiot. You got to take some parenting classes, and we got to do a psych evaluation to make sure you're not going to fucking beat and abuse these kids. And even with that shit going on, even with those people adopting kids jumping through those hoops, that shit still goes bad, man.
Yeah.
Like I have a girl I know that she got adopted. Her and her whole family is like her and freaking 3 other kids, and they were all just immediately abused. Immediately, like within hours of meeting their new families. So that's my biggest thing, man. I hate that shit, and I guarantee, let me control it. Number one, your population is going to be a lot better, because your number one problem with people growing up being criminal, shit like that, is that's what they grew up in. That's it. You know, sometimes it doesn't happen that way, but most of the time it does. Get rid of that. Do psych evaluations on these people. Do freaking financial checks. Make sure that they can afford to actually support these kids. You don't need to be rich to have a kid, but make sure at least the money's there or available, and that they could actually do it. And I think that would solve so many fucking problems in the world. It'll be unbelievable. Give it one generation of people that grow up like that, and it's going to delete a healthy amount of the problems in the entire fucking world. But you try and sell that shit. The moment I could be king of the world, and the moment I say, hey, we're doing this, man, they're going to fucking revolt on my ass so hard. You know, every religion in the world is going to come down on me. Just about every one of them wants you to go out and have at least kids, if not as many kids as possible, because they know all those kids are going to be the same religion 90% of the time. So that's a good way to expand your fucking base, you know. So every religion's going to come after your ass. All kinds of people are going to think their rights are being violated, which they are, but I think necessarily so. It's terrible, man. You guys could think right now, think of some motherfuckers who are either pregnant or have young kids that you just don't even want to know what's going to happen to those kids as they grow up.
All of Dave's family.
Yeah, there we go, right there. There's one person who would have stayed sterilized. Sorry, Dave.
Should have been here to defend yourself.
It's that bad. Like, I haven't even hit the surface then.
But that's what I'm saying, man. I'll take that as my party shot then, that little fucking rant, because I hate that shit with a passion.
Alright, well, I have a parting shot. It's about, I'm not sure if you guys heard about this in the news over the past week. It's about the dude in Oklahoma who, the dude in Oklahoma who was a part of that botched execution.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I, for one, don't feel any type of remorse for this motherfucker. I know that there's a law. I know that there are laws out there that says, you know, there should be no, what is it, cruel or unusual punishment amongst the citizens of this country. But I, for one, have no remorse for this motherfucker in Oklahoma. Once I found out exactly why he was on death row.
Exactly.
So I'm reading this article right now. It says, on the night of June 3rd, 1999, 3 men kidnapped Neiman and 2 other people. Neiman, referencing Stephanie Neiman, the person who was later, she was raped, then she was took outside, shot twice, and buried alive.
Yeah. Let's worry about how much pain that guy went through.
Right. A 19-year-old girl was raped, shot twice, and then buried alive. And it's just like, how on earth anyone could have remorse for this guy? I just couldn't see it. What do you guys think?
Oh shit! It's only me, you,
shit,
and everybody took off. I was waiting for somebody to jump in there. Yeah, man. I mean, I totally agree with you, dude. I understand we want to be more humane. We want to be a level above. You know, that's the big thing people say is we don't want to reduce ourselves to that level. But I actually do have a good plan of what we can do with them, right? Because Marine Corps or Navy corpsmen, they have a class where they go out to like a pig farm and somebody will shoot a pig with a shotgun, and that corpsman's job is to keep that thing alive using trauma materials as long as he can. And what that's training for is because pigs are like the closest biologically to humans, you know, considering organs. That's why you could trade out pig organs and pig hearts and stuff like that, because they're really closely related to us, right?
Okay.
So that's what they do. They're training on if I get blasted with a shotgun, that corpsman's got to hold me together until we can get out and get to a real hospital. So that's like the best training they could do. Well, you know what would be one step better is if we had a healthy person who needed to be killed anyways.
You're right, exactly.
Pump one shotgun shell into that guy and have corpsmen hold his ass together for as long as they can till he's dead. And there you go. That would be the best fucking training. Those guys would go out and save some military men's lives. It's win-win all around, man.
Right, pretty much. That's just like replacing the firing squad, actually.
Exactly, and we save a pig.
More prison sausages for everybody.
I don't see the fucking downfall there, man. That's my idea. See, another good reason to vote me as president, man. I got all kinds of ideas.
Yeah, that's the man with the plan right here.
What about you, Slow Kimmel? You got a parting shot?
Nah, man, we can shut this thing down.
Yeah, we lost a good part of our crew throughout this thing, so we're going to go ahead and end this. This is Alone in the Dark out here in beautiful Tennessee.
Cal home from Baltimore.
Slow chemicals.
There it is.
We're going to be on 9 o'clock-ish Eastern Standard Time next Wednesday, everybody. Make sure you tune in. We'll try and get that link out a little quicker this time. That was actually my fault. That shit didn't get out. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, too. We got the Dare to Disagree Facebook page, and one day we're going to learn how to link it to the goddamn video so you can just click on something. We ain't figured that shit out yet. But have a good night, America.
Later.